All right. I think we're live, YouTube. And if that's the case, then welcome back to another accountability call. This is with our Former Athlete Society. I do these calls every Tuesday, and these calls are meant to keep us sharp, motivated, aligned, not just as former athletes, but just as people who still crave maybe some structure, some progress, and a little competitive fire in our day-to-day lives, right? We need that in our professional working careers. So today I want to walk through 5 different topics that hit on things like advice, motivation, productivity, some tactical, maybe science-based strategies that you can use as a former athlete. And finally, I'm going to touch, like I did last time on our calls, on a technical training tip, something that you could apply to your gym session to, get a little bit more out of the gym session that you are in. So we're going to tackle all of those things, but more so, think of this as a team meeting. Like back in the old days when you were a college athlete, back in the locker room or your maybe club room, film room, a few reminders, right? Here, there's some new insights that I'll probably share today and a couple of strategies along the way that will keep you in motion and keep you improving. Just try to apply one of them. Think about them, see what works for you. Not everything is going to be perfectly applicable in your life, and that is okay. So, a couple different things real quick before we dive in. I just want to pause and say this. If you are unfamiliar with our YouTube Live and these sort of accountability calls of what I run with the Former Athlete Society, I am a strength and conditioning coach. I have been one for nearly 20 years of my professional working career. And my job is to take all of the advice that I share with current athletes, the teams that I work with, and give it to you. Now, I do so for free because I want you to benefit from the same cutting edge research that I read, that I share with our current athletes. I want you to take that stuff away as well, apply it to your life so you can get more out of it. So, first thing that we're going to jump into, and it is one of the most frustrating things I see. Now, whether you're a former athlete or still in the grind, is when your training stalls, right? We've been there. The weights aren't going up. The reps aren't increasing, right? You're logging the sessions, but for whatever reason, the needle isn't moving, and ultimately you're walking away frustrated, mad, and you wish that your progress would actually improve in the gym. So what do we do? When that happens, I walk myself through what I call a flow chart of progressions. Now, almost like reviewing game film, step by step, no emotion. I just look at the facts. And the facts say is this. The first question I always ask myself is, am I being consistent with my training? Because nothing works. I'm telling you guys this, of years of advice of doing this in the trenches, nothing works in the gym if you're not being consistent. Even the best designed program in the world won't work if you're only doing 60% of the sessions. So if you got consistency locked in, the next question I ask is, am I recovering? Now, a lot of former athletes forget that recovery isn't just about sleep. It's things like nutrition, stress management, hydration, and even how much chaos is going on in your life. Now, back, travel season's coming around, right? I'm thinking basketball on the top of my brain, traveling every weekend. I notice that sometimes I have off weeks where, even myself, I don't bounce back as strong because my recovery wasn't where it needed to be, right? The third question I often ask is, am I training hard enough with enough intensity? And this one stinks. Yeah, being honest, it stinks because a lot of us think that we are training with intensity, but really, we're not, right? We think that we are, but we're not pushing it to the extremes of what we think that we might need to. So when that happens, right, and it often happens, it doesn't mean that you have to crush yourself every session. It just means that you have to push to the edge where adaptation actually happens. Next, I often ask, am I training consistently enough with the correct technique? Now, if your form slipped, you're probably leaving strength and potentially safety on the table. And then lastly, in this flow chart of progression, am I progressively overloading? Meaning, am I lifting more weight, more reps, or more total volume over time? If you've answered yes to every single one of those questions and still nothing is moving, then the answer is usually really simple. You just need to increase your weekly volume by about 20%. And that typically takes care of it. Think of it as like a coach adjusting your practice reps. Sometimes it's not always about working harder, but sometimes you actually have to work more. You have to put in extra hours to get something out of it. So that's my first piece of advice. I just wanted to talk about some training stuff right out of the get-go of how I think about progressions and that sort of flow chart of things. A couple things here. If you're joining us and you are new to these YouTube live conversations that we have, again, I thank you for being here. I do this every Tuesday. Some of them are live, some of them are not live, some of them are pre-recorded and I share and I distribute out. But nonetheless, if you're watching this, look, I'm looking right at the camera right here. I need you to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, become part of this channel. We're building something really special here. I want you to be a part of it. I want you to not only help the algorithm, but get first access to some of these videos, get notifications when we go live, because we do that quite often, and help us grow what we're trying to advocate for and what we're trying to do here at the Former Athlete Society. I would appreciate you if you could do that. Take a moment, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, smash all the buttons, and that helps us out. So let's move on to this next topic, right? And I'm going to be a little vulnerable with you here right now. And this is for me, my motivation. It's a little iffy, right? And I can tell you exactly the reason why it is. It's because my goal right now is sort of ambiguous. I'm at the end of summer, right? We're in fall semester now. And technically, I guess I don't know, maybe I'm still in a cut. I'm trying to still trim some body fat, right? But I also am, quite frankly, kind of ready to move into a growth phase for this fall and winter. So my goals are sort of mismatched a little bit. And here's the thing. When your goal is ambiguous, much like mine is, do I cut? Do I grow? What do I do? Where am I at in this? Your motivation will always, always, always be shaky. Now, I feel that so much right now, right? My motivation's all over the place. And I've talked about leaning on your discipline and not just motivation. And I keep going back to that thought process all the time because I need it right now. I'm wrestling whether, do I keep pushing the cut through September, right? Get a little bit more LBs off the body, right? Continue to get right in that aspect, or do I switch gears early? And that creates this mental chatter, this drag in my mind. Now, the best seasons I've ever coached, whether it's in the weight room, whether, I'm facilitating or assisting on the basketball courts in the manners that a strength coach would, always had one thing in common, and that is clear timelines, rock steady goals. When an athlete knows, hey, we're peaking in 6 weeks, their buy-in skyrockets. And that's the same for us and motivation and our goals. So if you want rock steady motivation, you need rock steady timelines. It's like running a 400-meter sprint versus an undefined jog, right? If I tell you just keep running until I say stop, you're probably going to pace yourself. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to lose motivation. But if you say, hey, it's 400 meters, it's all out, empty the tank, you're done once you cross the finish line, right? Motivation gets a little bit more clear. So if you're struggling with motivation, check your timeline. That sort of uncertainty kills drive. Specific deadlines fuel them, right? So looking at the chat right now, I want to thank everybody right now, everybody that's in the chat. So awesome. It's rad to see all of you guys here piling in. That's cool. For our community, couple things here real quick. You already know this because I've shared this before, but this is where you can find my information at Adam Ringler. I'm on Instagram, X, TikTok, Blue Sky. I'm all over the place, right? But I share a lot of behind the scenes access to what we're doing, what we're building, life as a strength coach, working in collegiate athletics, which is really cool. And it's the most awesome field that one can work in. I share it all right here at my Instagram page. So head over there, give me a follow, like some of the content that I'm posting up there as well. That would be completely awesome if you could do that. Cool. Let's move on. Let's go into the next thing, right? Because I think this topic is really cool. I think we're going to walk away with some things here. And I want to talk about productivity. And here we go, Adam Ringler. He's talking about productivity again, right? Because I think it's one of the hardest transitions that former athletes can make, is that there is no one dictating your schedule, unless it's your employer, right? Maybe you're employed and you got a 9 to 5 that you have to show up to. But even if you do, nobody's dictating your 6 a.m. sessions. Nobody's telling you, hey, you got weights at 6 a.m. You got film at 7. You got practice after work, right? It's all on us now. And so one of the best things for me, just a productivity that I found, a hack, if you will, if you want to call it that, is batching. Now, I've talked about it with my hydration. I'm reaching over here. Boom, right? We talked about hydration. I batch my hydration. I fill up about 115 ounces of electrolytes and water. I do it one time in the morning and then one time in the afternoon. And there it is. I have a third Yeti over there on my desk that you can't see. I can't reach it. It's too far away. But nonetheless, I batch my nutrition, right? All of my meal prepping, that gets done. But you can also do it with your digital life. So I do things like I have periods on my calendar where I check email, right? And I send email and I schedule email to go out, right? There's the secret. I schedule it to go out at various times. Why? Because for me, micro interruptions destroy momentum. It's like trying to run sprints, but every 50 meters, you stop to tie your shoe. You never get into rhythm. Imagine if you're trying to get into a basketball game and you get subbed out every 2 possessions. You never find your rhythm, your flow, your shot, etc. So instead, I try to block off an hour just for emails. Maybe it's 45 minutes, maybe it's 30, right? And then later, I'll take maybe 60 minutes at the end of my day. It's 8 p.m., it's 9 p.m. at night. Everybody's starting to be in beds. They're reading books. They're going to sleep, right? And I schedule out some of my social media posts. There's my secret again, right? I do that. That way, when I'm done, right? It doesn't bleed into my training, into my work, into my athletes' obligations that I have with them, or even into my personal life when I'm trying to spend one-on-one quality time with my family or my wife or my children or things like that, right? So when in doubt, schedule it out. Think of your calendar as your playbook. If something is important enough to move you forward, it probably deserves a spot on your schedule. So use your calendar like it's the various assistant that you have that dictates your entire day. Because quite frankly, your calendar can be one of the most powerful things to actually dictate what you want to get done. So I super love that tip. For everybody that's in the chat right now, and I'm looking at several of you guys right now, this is where you can go. I see the chatter. You can go to adamringler.com. You can sign up for our membership site there. We have multiple different tiers, right? We have the blueprint, which is our free public access to all of our discussions, our commentary. You get all of our articles. You're on the newsletter. But you also can get our premium service as well, right? And that's talking about sort of our the architect of performance. We're going to really get into the framework of everything. It's a premium level subscription because, again, I write articles just for that community as well. And then, as always, we have the Former Athlete Society. You're watching the video right now. These discussions, I have them on one-on-one with only our former athletes that's in this society. We have question and answers. I have master classes as well. I have content. I have digital programming, strength conditioning program. I have a whole onslaught of resources, materials, and one-on-one opportunities with this cohort. And I want you to be a part of it, but you can't. You can't unless you head over to adamringler.com and sign up for that membership. So if you do that, I would appreciate it. I would love that. I think you will get a lot of value out of doing just that. So let's move on, guys. We got more things to tackle. And I want to talk about something that's sort of real world stuff. And here's one for us who beat ourselves up. And this is me when we hit the snooze button. Right? And I thought about myself. I got up at 4 a.m. this morning. I was already doing my 70 minutes. I did 75 today of cardio before 6 a.m. I was on the ruck trail, if you will. But if you beat yourself up for hitting the snooze button, right? There's a Stanford study that looked at varsity basketball players. Sherry Ma was the researcher that did this. This was years ago. And they looked at basketball players who were asked to aim for 10 hours of sleep per night over 5 to 7 weeks. Now, none of them actually hit the 10 hours. But what they did add to their sleep schedule was about 90 minutes of additional sleep extension. Now, the results, they sprinted faster, they reacted quicker, and they improved their shooting accuracy by almost 10%. That's amazing, right? And just from sleeping more. So, what does the science tell us? Well, most of us are probably walking around with a massive sleep debt. We're functioning fine, sure, but we're not at all at our full potential. It's the same as running plays when you're winded. You can execute those plays, but you're a little slower, you're a little sloppier, and probably less sharp. So, sleep is the reset button, right? So, instead of guilting yourself over hitting the snooze button, ask the bigger question. Am I actually getting enough sleep overall, right? Because that's where the real performance gains live, in actually getting great sleep. Now, I'm looking at the clock here. I'm also looking at the chatter that's happening here. A couple different things, guys. We're about 17 minutes into this live YouTube. Welcome to our live YouTube Former Athlete Society accountability call. We do these every Tuesday. I do a question and answer call every Thursday. Master classes are thrown in every couple weeks. I try to post that well ahead of time. If you are a part of our Former Athlete Society, you can go to the calendar, adamringler.com /Former Athlete Society. You'll see the calendar. All of the dates are posted. You can attend these live, right? You can do these live one-on-ones with us. So nonetheless, I want to move on to our last tip. And this is a big one. This is huge. If you are dealing with any aches, pains, soreness, things like that, because those